All right, we are now live and you may begin the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our December 8th council meeting. And this is really a special meeting because we're going to introduce our three newly elected council members. So with that, let's get started. And could we have a roll call, please, Madam City Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor John Caposcia,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi,
Present.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Here.
Councilmember John Hoybian,
Here.
Councilmember-elect Edward Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember-elect Kelly Creeves,
Here.
Councilmember-elect Robert Parkhurst.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum and may conduct city business.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a flag to put up on the screen?
We do, Mayor. Give me 1 second to pull it up.
Okay. And I'll ask everybody to please mute while I recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Please stand. Okay, and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. You may please be seated. Okay, I really don't have an invocation today, but I would just like to say that, we are in the midst of really challenging times here with COVID cases rising. And I just want to say to everybody, just please be careful out there. We're all getting a little fatigued with it and it's getting very tiring. But if we can just hang in there for a few more months, I think things are going to get really better. So again, everybody, just please be careful. And I do thank you for your patience and let's all hang in there and this COVID is winning the battle, but it's not going to win the war and we're going to prevail here pretty soon. So with that, let's move on for approval of our meeting agenda. Is everybody okay with the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Can you call the vote, please?
Yes. Mayor John Caposcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi.
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember John Hoybian.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, the motion to approve the agenda as presented was passed by unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay, approval of meeting minutes. Any changes to the minutes?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, Madam City Clerk?
Mayor John Caposcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi,
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember John Hoybian.
Yes.
The motion to approve the minutes of the special council meeting of November 10th was passed by unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor and Council reports. Anybody have anything to report?
Make a short report, Mayor, if I may. I serve on the Foothill Workforce Development Board, and I just wanted to announce if there are any residents that are impacted by COVID in terms of their jobs, please visit fwdbworks.org, or you can email me or I'm going to put maybe our city clerk on point also. But there's an opportunity to receive some supportive services in terms of dollars if, again, you have been displaced or impacted by COVID as it relates to your job. Secondly, I'm also on the government advisory panel for Edison, for SoCal Edison. And I know that it's been a little nerve-wracking for their public safety power shutoff announcements, but if you're not already signed up, please do so, so you can at least be notified if there will be any potential shutoffs in your area. Next, I know our businesses have been really hit hard, and the mayor alluded to that quite a bit in his opening. But I'm really happy that Sierra Madre Thrives will be reignited, and they're going to be doing some work in this upcoming few weeks. So please keep your eyes open. Their work will not just support our restaurants, as you've seen in the past, but also our retail stores and other businesses that are not restaurants. Last two is Friends of the Library. Congratulations on a fun drag bingo. Last week. I didn't get to stay for it all, but I did dress up in my drag outfit. So hopefully others did too. It was a great event, and congratulations just being innovative and creative during this time to find ways to conduct your fundraisers. And then lastly, we have our honors dinner on Thursday, and I'm really excited about those we'll be honoring, and I look forward to reporting that during our next meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Just to have a brief report, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Just following up what Mayor Pro Tem said, I'm also really delighted to be participating in the honors dinner later this week, and hopefully I'll see a lot of the folks watching there.
And I'll just briefly say happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone. I know everyone sacrificed this Thanksgiving and didn't have the family get-togethers that we're used to and that are so normal. And I appreciate everyone for doing that. And I too am looking forward to the honors dinner, and just a shout out here to Chris Cimino for the Lifetime Achievement Award and everything he's done for the city. Literally, I think he's been working here since he was probably in his teens, and to see what he's done and the ladders he's climbed here and everything he's done has been tremendous. So hats off to Chris specifically. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I would just also like to congratulate Chris Cimino. I think this is sort of an American dream success story, that someone could start off just as basically at laboring here in Sierra Madre and rise to the position of a director, and he did it all through hard work and loyalty. He just, I know he loves Sierra Madre and could have worked in many other places and made more money, but he stuck it out. And for a guy like Chris, who is just of the utmost character and a likable fellow to achieve what he's achieved, I think that's just, again, the American dream. And I'm very, very proud of him and proud of all of Sierra Madre that we can celebrate something like this. So thank you, Chris. Okay, with that, it's time to open it up for public comment, and this is for any items not on the agenda. So if we can flash the telephone number on the screen, and we'll wait a minute or so to let people dial in. And for those that dial in, just always remember to mute whatever device it is that you're listening on, because there will be a delay.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a caller in queue. Give me just 1 second while I patch them through.
Okay.
Good evening, caller. Please state your name and city of residence for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to provide your comment.
My name is Rich Proctor. I'm a trustee for the Sierra Madre Public Library.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, hi. Yeah, this is Rich Proctor. I just want to announce very happily that I'm also part of the One Book, One City committee. And that committee has chosen our book for 2021. This will be for the month of February. We have come to a great consensus over the book, A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. Everybody was very excited about this book, and the reason we're choosing it is because this is a book that will bring the city together around the virtues of community, nature, and a commitment to connecting with friends. It's about the author who hooks up with his best friend, and they walk the Appalachian Trail. And two things happen. The author had been in England for 20 years, and he reconnects with America, and especially a certain specific kind of natural beauty in America. And he connects with the people of America as he takes his trek. So we're all certain this is going to be a very exciting book that's going to be embraced by the community, and there's going to be an entire month full of great events where we're able to celebrate the virtues of this book. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Proctor. I think I will just say that that is an excellent choice. I've read it and I'm looking forward to reading it again. It's that good. So thank you.
Yeah. This is a book that holds up under repeated readings. You can just dip it into anywhere. And he's such a friendly and personable writer. So I think this is going to be a very popular book.
Yeah, and he's also a brilliant man. I've read several things by him.
Yes, you can pick up any one of his books, and yeah, you can. I would recommend that. Okay.
Okay, anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, you do not have any more callers for public comment at this time.
Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to a presentation of our city council accomplishments over the last 8 years. So I just want to start off as again, this council has been together, Councilmember Harabedian and I have been together for 8 years. And of the 8.5 years, and of those 8.5 years, we've also been with Mayor Pro Tem Arizmendi and Councilmember Gene Goss for 6.5 years. So the accomplishments we're going to list are really a team effort, and not just with the council, of course. The council doesn't do anything by itself, but it does take the teamwork and also the outstanding staff that we have with our city of Sierra Madre, and also the residents of the town who have been very supportive and very challenging as far as driving us to make our case of why we want to do certain things and keeping us honest to make sure we're doing the right things. So anyway, we'll walk through this. And we're only going to talk about some of the highlights, but you'll see a lot of the items on the screen. And since it is a team accomplishment, I've asked all the members of the council to talk about the items that they were personally involved in or felt very strongly about or drove from a leadership point of view to get us to where we're at. So with that, let's step through for a few minutes and bear with us while we just reflect back on the last 8.5 years. Okay, we've broken things down into these areas: financial management, water, public safety, infrastructure, natural resources and energy, and community preservation. So we'll go ahead and start off with the first one. Financial management. And I'll talk about the utility tax, but some of the other things, we did a cell tower lease buyout that was the brainchild of our city manager, and also our sale of electrical grounding rights that help improve our financial position. And Mayor Pro Tem Arizmendi will talk about our pension obligations and our establishment of our funding policy. So with that, I'll talk a little bit about the utility tax. The utility tax is one of the more interesting things I think that we've dealt with over the years in Sierra Madre. And it started off when, I was running for council. I was not happy about the utility tax measure that was on the ballot at the time because it was going to automatically increase our taxes to 12% without the council reaffirming the need of that. So the previous council put it on the ballot and it was going to automatically go to 12% if it passed. Well, I fought against it and it failed. And my point all the time was when it's necessary, the city of Sierra Madre, its citizens will vote to support the tax when it is proven to be necessary. So here we are years later, and our utility tax is still at 10%. So I'm proud that it did not go to 12% because we're in a very good financial position, even at the 10% rate. But even that was very challenging because it failed, and the next 2 years it came back, it failed again. And there was a big lesson to be learned there, was that we certainly couldn't go back to a 6% tax without pretty much bankrupting or seriously cutting city services. So the council then pulled together and put it back on the ballot for the third time now. And this time with an all-out effort to really show our constituents why it was necessary. And it passed overwhelmingly with, I think it was 74%, I don't remember, passing. So one of the keys here, again, was a team effort by our city council. And there were skeptics on the city council, and they were right. I mean, we just can't just, tax ourselves into financial well-being from this point. We have to hold the line somewhere. And there was a lot of argument and debate about what the right level of taxation was. And the other thing is we removed the sunset clause. Our council member Del Mar really made a good case for that, saying that that was kind of a stunt. And she was right. It's not necessary to have that. If we believe we need the money, then we should make it permanent. And if someday we don't need the money, then the council should vote to reduce it. We also eliminated the committee that we had to ensure that the extra money went to public safety. So anyway, that was a real team effort. And at the 10% tax rate, we've got our city finances in real good shape, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Arismendi, and she'll talk about the next two items here.
Thanks,
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor and Miss Mayor Pro Tem, if we can ask staff to correct the PowerPoint displaying, because then is it displaying correctly for the public?
How is it displaying? Do we know at this point?
I don't know.
It looks good on the screen to me.
Okay, all right, thank you. Just checking.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor. And Mayor, I really just want to commend you. And I know Council Member Harabian was part of this too, of putting this together. And I think when we first saw the initial list you put out, it was really quite impressive. So thank you for taking the time for us to go through this, inviting for us to speak on it. The next two items I'll talk about together. I know it may not be one of the most exciting areas to discuss and with finances and pension, but this really was exciting at the time, and special thanks and appreciation to our city manager, Gabe England, for bringing this as an option to the board or to the council. What we had done is we made 2 prepayments to CalPERS to reduce our pension obligations. And as we know, if we take a look at the cities around us, cities in the state, this really tends to be where that vulnerable point is with the high obligations. Our first payment we made was in 2018, and we reduced the city's pension liability by $11 million. The second prepayment was made in 2019, and it further reduced our liability as well as saving taxpayers money, which we're always very proud and happy to do. In total, these 2 prepayments reduced the liability by more than $16 million and saved interest payments of more than $8.5 million. I mean, interest alone was 8.5 that we saved in. This also reduced the annual payments the city made to CalPERS by approximately 50%. And so that obviously has an impact every single year. Excuse me. So now we have projected to have pension funding levels at 90%. When we look at our past, as recently as 2016, our funding level was below 70%. And this is really quite remarkable. The state funded average of all cities is 73%, whereas our local peers aren't faring as well. Arcadia is at 63% of their funding level, Duarte at 70%, and South Pasadena at 71%. And this has caused other cities to increase taxes or sell bond debt. In Sierra Madre, we chose to be responsible and live within our means. And related to that is the pension and OPEB funding policy. We adopted a CalPERS pension stabilization plan and a strict pension employee benefit funding policy. So now that this has been completed, the difficult work is returning the city's pension, returning the city's pension obligation to sustainable funding levels. Future city councils will be required to maintain it. If at any time the actual pension funding falls below 85%, the city manager must schedule a public hearing with the city council, explain why funding has not been maintained at that 85% level, and the city council must approve a plan to restore funding above the minimum expected level. This policy will make sure Sierra Madre is never again in the position of inadequate pension funding like many cities throughout the state.
Next slide, please. Okay, Councilmember Goss will now talk a little bit about zero-based budgeting.
Okay, well, first I just wanted to say, following up Mayor Pro Tem, when I'm out bragging about our city, I'm oftentimes bragging about that pension savings that she just talked about. And I'm also bragging about zero-based budgeting. And just a little bit of background, we implemented zero-based budgeting on the initiative of our city manager back beginning in 2017, 2018. The process requires every line item of the budget to be reviewed every year to ensure every expenditure is defensible and necessary. This process turned a budgeted all funds deficit of $1.4 million in 2017 to a budgeted surplus of more than 2.8 million in the 2019 fiscal year. Yes, you heard that right. The same process was used in the current fiscal year budget. This allowed the city to budget for a surplus even while facing COVID and purchase a new ambulance and fire engine and pay it in cash. That's just a tremendous accomplishment. And I just wanted to say, having done a little bit of academic research on this, I'm a political scientist, I've found that zero-based budgeting is used in various agencies across the country, but it really matters who's doing it. And I think our city manager and his managers and his people are testament to how to do zero-based budgeting correctly. And it certainly has created a major windfall for this city.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Goss, and we'll turn it back to Mayor Pro Tem again to talk about the next two items.
Thank
Oops,
you.
wait a minute. Let's go back one slide. Yeah.
Just really briefly on the salary comps and adjustments, for the first time in years, we developed and approved a plan that would adjust the staff salaries in a way that would make it similar and competitive to our surrounding agencies. And our plan consisted of comparing Sierra Madre to not just only 11 peer cities, but also to similar positions in the private and nonprofit sectors, healthcare field, and throughout government contract services. And one of the goals we achieved was to start bringing current management positions closer to what other like agencies are paying for similar positions. By achieving this goal, we will allow for well-qualified staff to stay with Sierra Madre, which in other ways reduces recruitment costs. The City Council recognizes that retaining well-qualified staff means being proactive and competitive in the marketplace and providing for reasonable salary increases as the city's budget allows for. And as we've been able to see in this last 10 months during this COVID time, we just truly have well-qualified and dedicated staff. which is a perfect segue into the COVID Sierra Madre Cares, if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
In response to the COVID-19 pandemic and in an effort to assist Sierra Madre small businesses, the city launched a variety of assistance programs throughout Sierra Madre, and it's through the Sierra Madre Cares initiative. Notable programs include the construction of outdoor dining patios, and I think we are one of the first in the regions, if not the state, to really invest into that. The expansion of outdoor dining encroachment permits, and a plan for businesses to resume operations through outdoor facility use permits. We also facilitated 3 rounds of small business grant programs. We provided nearly $200,000 in grant money to 47 of our local businesses affected by the pandemic. These were funded through CDBG, or Community Block Development Grants, and also through our own city funds as well. The initiative also focused on senior communications, as well as offering various meal assistance programs for the senior community. And it's work we're really extremely proud of.
Hey, thank you. And yes, and one thing to keep in mind here is the vast majority of Sierra Madreans don't really pay attention to the day-to-day workings of city government. But at the end of the day, this is what they expect. They expect that the government be managed competently. And this is one thing that we're very proud of, and it's just evident in our finances that we've met the major goal of expectations to manage our city finances competently. So with that, we'll move to the next category, which is water. And again, this is just a visual of an old storage unit that has now been replaced by a newer one. I think this is the one that's off on Grove Street that has since been replaced by a very innovative double-lined reservoir that has internal redundancy, which is an accomplishment of an idea of our old former water director, Bruce Inman. And again, that has all been rebuilt now and is earthquake hardened and will survive the next major earthquake. So next slide, please. Okay, first, we're not going to talk too much about the water rates. We've had, I think, 3 water rate hearings since I've been on the council, and I think we finally got to a pretty good place because we don't get too many complaints anymore. So our water finances are also in pretty good shape now. So Councilmember Goss, let's talk a little bit about the joint well, which is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, first I wanted to tell you, Mr. Mayor, how much fun I had working with you on our water subcommittee with members of the staff, particularly Chris Semina, who's mentioned here already before, Utility Director Reynoso, City Manager England, and others as the case needed. And I can just tell you that it was wonderful to be able to go to council and have a council that could converse in these issues after we brought things to them, and we could work things out well. So I really, all the progress we made in water was a true team effort, and it's just been a joy to work with all of you on these things. The joint well really boils down to this. We are members of a municipal water district called the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, which was formed in 1959. And it had the goal of providing supplemental water to all their members, including us. Only problem was they built a pipeline that only got about to Azusa, well short of us. So since then, we've been working with that district and our neighbors of City of Arcadia. We entered into a joint well agreement so that we can try to access some of that water that we don't have a direct pipeline to. And this just happened this particular year. Working with the district and in Arcadia, we've entered into a joint well agreement that will finally provide us with a well in the main San Gabriel Basin, outside of the boundaries of our city, capable of supplying up to 40% of our water supply each year. The joint well is a historic agreement that will provide a new source to the residents of Sierra Madre for decades. And in fact, that was one of the last pieces of official business we took care of before this meeting. So just a fantastic move forward for the city. develop water independence, truly develop water independence.
Okay, I want to just add on to that because we've had a lot of discussion about this. And I want to say that early on, I did not think it was possible to get this joint well done.
Me
So
neither.
I fought against it. But I was wrong. My fellow council members were right, and they were unanimous against me in pushing ahead for that joint well. So this is a case where when I came on the council, I had very modest goals. I wanted to be right more than I'm wrong, but that was certainly one that I was wrong on. But again, I say this because of just emphasizing how great it was to work all these years with this council, because it was okay to have a difference, and we just would work together, and eventually the right decisions got made. So with that, I'll move on to protection of our pumping rights. Now, this was one I was right on because I fought very hard early to protect our pumping rights, because Arcadia had sunk a well very close to the boundary that was laid out by the adjudication. And it was really outside of the adjudication's ruling that that well should never have been placed. And we still don't have a good answer as to why that well was placed. So the early agreement that was drafted, was put in front of us, was to allow them to continue pumping out of that well. And I fought very hard to convince my council members that that was the wrong thing to do, that we had to protect our pumping rights at all costs. And we did, and it was looking very bleak for a while. But again, just due to the tenacity of our staff and good decisions by the council, we got to the place that Councilmember Goss just mentioned, to have a joint well. Now we've got cooperation on managing the basin, and a path forward to ensure that we can have water for the foreseeable future. So the other one that I'm very, very proud of, and also one of my regrets on AMI, was when we considered this for the first water rate hearing that we had. We threw this out because we felt it was too expensive. And I feel, looking back, that that was a huge mistake, that we could have had it 2 years earlier if we would have pushed for it back then, instead of being fearful about raising the rates too much. But the bottom line is that you've got to invest in capital to improve your water system. And the AMI and monthly billing, to me, is it's huge. And even personal experience with that, when we were trialing it, I had the account where I had the near real-time metering updates. And we went on a family vacation and had a neighbor water my tomato plants for me. And she left the hose bib not shut properly. And I got an email saying that we have a water leak. So just with a quick phone call to check on the hose bib, they shut it off. But in something like this, we've had people that we've given credit to over the years where their water was leaking for a month or up to 2 months, and without anybody knowing about it. So now you can set yourself up to get alerts. And if you're using, if your water is continually flowing, it'll give you an alert to say that you've got a leak somewhere. So this is a good use of upgrading our technology. And again, the council is very proud of this. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, public safety. We've got a couple of things that our fire department and police department were very proud of. And with that, we'll go to the next slide. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Harabedian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think that all of us can agree that Sierra Madre is very proud of its own police and fire departments. I think that if there's anything that stories Sierra Madre and really provides a foundation of our history, it is our water, and it's really the foundation of the city and the battles we've had over the years about water. But I think it's public safety. I remember when I ran 8 years ago, I really ran because of public safety, because for years we had debates about whether we were going to retain our full-time independent police department and whether we were going to keep our own fire department. At that point, you know, as a younger man, it was a full-time volunteer fire department, and we slowly transition to a combination department. And so 8 or 9 years ago, when we were running for council, this was a hot topic, and it continued to be a hot topic. And for the police department, in about 2015, we were seeing a real challenge. The department was essentially falling apart for a number of reasons. We were losing officers for various reasons to retirement. They were also being hired by other agencies. And there was a real point there where we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to keep our own police department. So we formed a public safety committee to look at, what really should we do? At that point, we had a proposal that was given to us by the LA County Sheriff's Department. And at that time, the Sheriff's Department was actually serving as our night watch. We had so few police officers that we could not actually fulfill and fill with the number of officers we needed all of our shifts during the day. And I'll give a lot of credit and commend the Sheriff's Department for doing a fantastic job during that, I believe it was about 6 months, filling in on that temporary basis. But when the Public Safety Committee reviewed the proposals to go to the sheriffs or to stay with our own department, they came to a firm conclusion that we as a city should stick with our own police department. And although transitioning to the Sheriff's Department would have saved us about $1 million a year in the short term, we decided, the committee and the council wholeheartedly agreed, that from a cultural standpoint, from a preservation standpoint, and really from a autonomy standpoint, doing everything we could to keep our police department was a vital priority for us. So we rebuilt the department. I mean, we really, starting in mid 2016 into 2017, took a lot of financial steps and really ramped up our leadership recruitment and hiring to make sure that we had a fully staffed department. And today, on each shift, we have 2 full-time officers and a watch commander, which we were struggling to have years ago. And now we have a chief that we are so proud of, Chief Harmelin, who has really taken the department to the next level. We're not only saving money and adding to our general fund reserves, but we've added personnel and all the equipment that we need. And similar to fire, in 2015, it was a similar story where we had transitioned at that point and we only had 4 full-time captains. The rest were volunteers. But because of the nature of fire services, having a volunteer department just really wasn't something that any city could do anymore. And having only 4 full-time employees wasn't really something we could do. We weren't able to actually get the volunteers in the door to fulfill the shifts. So we had a situation which was frankly embarrassing at times, when we would have a fire and we'd have a rig go out and we wouldn't have enough firefighters or engineers to fully staff. And so what we did is we held a number of town halls as a city council. We came together and we very quickly made a determination that, like our police services, we wanted our own fire and ambulance services. We heard loud and clear from our residents that if there's one thing that we should sacrifice for, it is making sure that when you live in Sierra Madre, you have an ambulance or you have a fire truck that is leaving the firehouse right on Sierra Madre Boulevard and coming to their houses. And that was very important. We heard that loud and clear. And we made that decision in part because of what the residents were saying, but also because we knew that we needed to be an automatic aid unified response. What that really means is, when there's a fire in the San Gabriel Valley, but really within a group of cities like Sierra Madre, Arcadia, Monrovia, and Pasadena, if there's a fire, all departments are on notice and will send their rigs and their crews to help fight that fire. We just had a fire on Sycamore a few days ago, and thankfully that situation didn't turn fatal. But it's really because you have an automatic aid system to where if one of our trucks is out at one fire or another emergency, we can get other trucks from other cities. For years, these other cities were sending their trucks really out of charity in the bottom of their heart, because we didn't have a full-time department. We didn't have really the quality of a department that would allow us to get into automatic aid. We're happy to report now that through a lot of hard work, and again, I'm going to give a lot of credit to our now chief, Brent Bartlett, who was just promoted, which we're so proud of him and all the work that he and his crew have been doing. We are now in automatic aid and unified response for the first time in the city history. And we now have a full fully unionized, full-time department, which I'll tell you, in this day and age, to go from a volunteer department to a full-time, fully unionized department is really unheard of. And I think it was a feat that was only able to get done because of our staff. And I'm just gonna have to give a huge shout out to our city manager, again, our chief, and everyone else who was a part of that, who said, we will make this work fiscally and we're gonna make it work from a personnel standpoint. So I think that our public safety story over the last 6 to 8 years has been remarkable. From where we were when we all first got on council to where we are now, I think is going to position us for the next 2 decades to really excel on this front. And I'm really going to call heed to our new council members who are coming on. Please do everything you can to make sure that we always keep our full-time police and fire departments. I really think that that should be a priority going forward.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Harabedian. It really is hard to understate the significance of these two things. So this is really huge. And I'm really, as I speak for my colleagues, we are really proud to have our names associated with these developments. Especially that automatic aid. I mean, that's been a goal of the city for many years, and we finally got there. So with that, we'll talk about infrastructure. Okay, next slide. Okay, a lot of things here. Water main replacements. One thing that gets overlooked a lot is that relinquishment of the Santa Anita Canyon Road to LA County. And geez, just in time too, because that's going to be pretty expensive to fix that up. So Supervisor Barger is on the call here with us. So I appreciate that you guys have taken that on. Okay, sewer accounts, Kirsten Court remodel, Sierra Vista parking lot, City Hall front desk, middle school completion. That's another huge thing for Sierra Madre, and some of the members of the council lobbied very hard with the school board to ensure that that thing got completed because it was pretty questionable for a while. And we also did a Hard House Park House expansion. So with that, we'll talk about water main replacements, and I'll turn it over to Council Member Goss to talk about that.
Yes, this is a very sexy subject, let me tell you. It's sexy, and I'm kidding, because people don't see their water mains. They're out in front of their houses, underneath the streets for the most part. So out of sight, out of mind. That doesn't mean they don't wear out. And ours were very badly worn out 8 and 9 years ago when most of us got involved in this. In 2017, the city completed a water system master plan that identified and prioritized replacement of the city's aging water mains. The list identified 32 areas, ranking them according to the likelihood of failure. The city made an aggressive commitment to replace the neglected infrastructure and is on pace to complete the mainline replacements outlined in that study. In 2020, the city completed water main designs for the next 4 years with the support of our water district in the form of a $2 million interest-free loan. 2020 will see our most ambitious mainline replacement project. The estimate is, this project engineer estimate, I think it's just over $2 million. Since 2017, the city has replaced over a mile of main line each year. The replacement and maintenance of our infrastructure has reduced water loss from a high of 29%. That's what our system was losing each year a few years ago, to now less than 10%, which is acceptable as an industry standard for municipalities. So we've made huge improvements in our water system, that buried system that nobody can see. And over time, again, talking about councils now and in the future, hopefully we can keep this momentum going, because we still have a lot of work to do in this area.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Goss. And I want to just mention briefly on the sewer accounts cleanup. This boils down to basic management, blocking and tackling. And I'm very, very proud of our city manager and staff for taking this on. And basically what they did was looked at every water account we had to make sure that we had a corresponding sewer account. And of course, we do still have some that are on a cesspool arrangement. but we investigated every one of those to make sure that if you were hooked up to the sewer, that you were actually paying your monthly sewer fee for it. And so our staff went about cleaning that up, and I forget how many now. I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's just amazing that we had so many customers that were hooked up to the sewers but not paying for it. So with that, that improved our sewer financials markedly, and we're now in really good shape and shouldn't have to raise rates for the foreseeable future. So again, this is what our citizens expect, is competent management. And this is just an example of how we've provided that. So with that, I'll turn over to Mayor Pro Tem Arizmendi to talk about our Kirstein Court remodel.
Thank you, Mayor. And Kirstein Court remodel is a project that I hold dear to my heart, because we talked about it back in the Community Services Commission when I served on there. And I do want to thank CSC, or Community Services Commission, for their work on this. We hope to launch this or take the first step in January 2021, and we hope that it will be completed by April 2021. We're looking at very simple things like ADA compliant upgrades and parking zone and lighting improvements, but really this is the center of our town where many families and residents come to congregate and also to enjoy some of our social events once we get past COVID. A special thank you also to County Supervisor Catherine Barger, who Mayor said was on the call, who provided us a $300,000 grant to get this done. And we're really excited to celebrate this in April. We're gonna also have some arts and public places that will support historical components of this project. We're looking at sidewalk bronze plaques that will highlight the bell tower, the Mount Wilson Trail Race, the Tiny House, and the red car trolley. So stay tuned for the big reveal in April.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So let's move on now to natural resources and energy. And with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Harabedian.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that, briefly, we have done a lot in the city over the past 8 years to make this city more sustainable and to make sure that not only on water, but on energy generally, and the way that we are actually, powering our city, we're doing it in a way that will sustain future generations as well. And one of the big things that we did was joining the Clean Power Alliance as one of the founding members back in October 2017. And the Clean Power Alliance is a community choice aggregation where communities like ours, along with 30 plus other cities in LA County and Ventura County, basically came together and said, we're going to buy our own clean energy and we're going to produce our own clean energy, and we're going to provide that to our residents so that they are no longer using as much brown, dirty energy. And it was really a cutting edge idea that came to us through the COG, and I'm gonna have to give the mayor a lot of credit for bringing it to our attention. And really, I think that when we all signed up, I think we're all a little skeptical. I think we are all saying that, how are we gonna save money on an individual basis and use cleaner energy? But we've been able to do it. When we signed up, we're originally in the default of clean power, which means 50% of the energy that an individual user was by default using 50% clean and then 50% mix of traditional fossil fuels. And I think one of the proudest moments that we had was quite recently moving, and it was at the suggestion of some really thoughtful residents, of moving actually to the 100% green power designation. And I think we're all proud that in Sierra Madre now, we're one of the few cities where across the board, the default for all of our users is 100% green power. And I think no matter what your political persuasion is, and no matter how old or young you are, it's a good thing that in Sierra Madre, now 96% of people are using 100% green power to actually run all the appliances in their home and keep the lights on. And I think that's really something that we should be proud of. And Robert Parkhurst, who is going to be sworn in here, was the vice chair of the community group, the advisory group that from day one was advising the community choice aggregate Clean Power Alliance. So kudos to him for all the work he did too. And then secondly, we are one of the few cities now who's actually taking the next step of installing and creating our own solar power system. A few years ago, and this is a critical part of this whole piece, which is generating clean power, not just buying it. And a couple of years ago, we came together, and the mayor and I recruited two residents in town to help us. And one of them was Robert Parkhurst, the other one was Matthew Schneider. And James Carlson really took the lead on this project. And we said, James, we want to explore how we can put a solar panel project in the spreading yards so that we can start powering our city with solar power. And the reason why, I think, was frankly, it was motivated by a lot of reasons, but one of them was seeing on a monthly basis extraordinarily high electricity bills because of our water system. We spend almost $500,000 a year on electricity, and a lot of that goes to fund to actually powering our water pumps. And so through a lot of hard work with James, Mr. Parkhurst, and Mr. Schneider, we came up with a plan, and years later we actually got it done. And so after months of research, we actually got into a power purchase agreement to design and construct a solar power system, and it will be located in the city yards. The project, which is really important to note, is being entirely funded by utility savings. So it's going to be cash flow positive on year one, and it is estimated to save the city $2.2 million in water distribution costs over 20 years. And that is unbelievable. And that's something that I think we should all be pretty proud of, because it makes sense on the bottom line, but it also makes sense for the climate benefits, because we are actually in producing close to 989,000 kilowatt energy offset each year. We are eliminating 715 tons of CO2 emissions per year. I mean, it gives me, as a council member, to say that I had a little part in that. It really gives me chills, and I'm really proud that this city has been a leader on this. And we're really just making our way through the design and build stage. But now with 3 new council members, with Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Goss, I think we got a great team, especially with the resident expert, Mr. Parkhurst, being here to guide it through, to make sure that Sierra Madre remains a leader on the clean energy and natural resources front. And then other things to note, again, we did a City Hall drought tolerant landscaping plan, which we should all be very proud of, because water conservation is so important to us. And again, the East Raymond Basin Management Plan, which the mayor alluded to earlier, just on the theme of managing our water in a very, very respectful and smart way, is something that we will continue to do.
Okay, and I just want to comment here, because Councilmember Harabedian is far too modest where he says he had a small part. Councilmember Harabedian was the driver of the solar project, because we had looked at possibly doing this once and it didn't pencil out. And Councilmember Harabedian was the one that brought it back and just said, look, this has got to be financially viable. So let's take a look at it again. So I want to just make sure that everybody understands that he was the driver of this, that this was not a staff-driven project. This was a council member-driven project. And he should be very, very proud of what he's been able to achieve here. So with that, we'll talk about community preservation. Okay, so we've got a couple of things here. The Kensington Mills Act, the Mills Act contracts and historic designations, and the Darling House, which is sort of part of that. So I'll just start off with the Kensington, because this started when Councilmember Harabedian and I were running for council, and there was a lot of debate about this, and it was a very controversial project. And I remember I was seeking the endorsement of an influential person in town, and that person would not endorse me because I was in favor of the Kensington project, and this person felt like it was going to take away from our retail space. And at that time, I could see that retail was pretty much dead. I mean, the corpse was dropped into the hole here. And that was with redevelopment, where that whole scheme in California, which was designating areas as blighted and taking part of the property tax to fund redevelopment of these sites. Developers found a loophole in that, and they were developing undeveloped land and calling it blighted. So Kmart's, Walmart's, Home Depots were built at the expense of local businesses. So it seemed to me that local shops were not coming back, and certainly Amazon.com has nailed that coffin shut and thrown the dirt on it. So the Kensington was a viable, really the only viable plan. Knocking on doors, that was one of people's concerns, was what are we going to do with that eyesore right in the middle of our downtown? So after 9 public hearings and also a lot of controversy over the viability of getting this done under the Measure V regime that was voted in by Sierra Madre, we prevailed and got a beautiful structure built that has become an important part of our community. And we did preserve the viability of Measure V by taking it to a vote of the citizens and removing the 2 parcels from the Measure V zone and getting it approved by the voters overwhelmingly. So a very big accomplishment for us early on in our council career. Also, just talk about the next 3, the Mills Act cleanup and all the new Mills Act contracts. First of all, let's move to the next slide here. We'll just talk through a couple of these. Since we've been on the council, I don't believe there was any historical designations made since the early days that were all litigated over when the Cultural Heritage Commission first designated sites as cultural resources. And we certainly hadn't approved any new Mills Act contracts in many, many years. So since we've been on the council, I'm just going to flip through these, but here is 101 West Bonita, the Webster House, which is now historically designated and on a Mills Act contract. Let's move to the next slide. 49 East Allegria. This is also known as the mayor's house because Sierra Madre's first mayor lived here. But the folks that bought this house did a masterful job of rehabilitating the house. And so that is also now on our Mills Act contract. The J. Gamble Carson House, we just signed recently, put this on a Mills Act. This one was already a designated historical site, but now is on a Mills Act, so we can be sure that the property tax savings will be spent in maintaining the historical aspects of the site. Okay, next one. The Montecito Wilson Bixby House. Again, this was a historical site and now is on a Mills Act contract. Again, the newer owners of it have done a great job in repairing it. Now we can be sure that it's going to be maintained properly for posterity. Okay, the 500 Mariposa Becker House. This is our very first mid-century modern home that has been designated as a historical resource site. So this is, I'm very proud of this one. It doesn't look like much from the street, but it is actually a beautiful example. And if you read the historical report on it, it was quite significant at the time it was built. Okay, next one. The Bloomer Farmhouse. This was the early one. This house, the Abernathys purchased this and saved it from demolition and redevelopment. It's a fairly big lot up on Olive Tree Lane. And this house is also featured on the historic poster of Sierra Madre, where it lists a bunch of the early homes. That was a real estate promotion. But they actually saved this house from demolition and have put a heck of a lot of work into it. And again, very proud of that accomplishment there. Okay, next. The Highland Mews, this one again, this site on the corner of Hermosa and Highland is right just outside the 50-foot radius, so I could weigh in on my opinions on this one from where I live, because I live on Highland right near it. But this site was designated as a high-density housing site, and I fought that early on. I thought that was inappropriate having that right across the street, basically from a school. There's already too much traffic on that school to have a high-density site. And we found out a very creative way to have the developer restore this or repurpose it as moderate income housing for, I think there's 4 units there. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but we also designated it as a historical site because this was the site of the very first church in town. I forget the denomination now, but our founder of Sierra Madre was a member of that church. So it is a historical site as well. So the next one is 354 North Cannon, and I don't remember the name of this house, but it's owned by Rod and Joan Spears, and they rehabilitated this home and then established it as a historical site. And they didn't ask for the Mills Act contract because they felt that they just really didn't need it financially, but they were kind enough to create a historic resource out of it so that it is preserved for posterity. Okay, the next one. This one's a special case because this one is not historical, technically, but John Harabedian and I got personally involved with this one because the owner of this house wanted to demolish it and create a modern housing structure on it. And Councilmember Harabedian and I fought that and just said, no, this cannot happen. This is too valuable a resource, even though it wasn't technically a historic site, but it was purchased by the Cafalis family that owns only place in town. And it's a very, very long story with this, and it was very controversial. But I just really am very proud of the Cafalis family for building this house and rebuilding it essentially with the same visuals that the house had before. And it's in fact improved because there was a stairway on the side of it when it was converted for a rental unit on the top. So they did just a wonderful job with this. And now it's got actually modern bones in it instead of the old rickety 1912 framing and roof rafters and all that. It's got a solid, substantial foundation, and everything is really up to code with it. And everybody I've talked to that isn't caught up in the details of how it came to be is just incredibly impressed that the Cafalis family actually rebuilt this house the way they did. So that's kind of a special case. So we'll move on from there. So the other thing we'll talk about are, many things we have here. We've had a couple of really significant things lately, but we did approve the current general plan with this council. And recently the commercial code update and parking code updates are significant. We hope when the COVID situation is over, that now it's really should be very easy to do business in Sierra Madre. So Mayor Pro Tem will talk about anti-mansionization because this is a pretty significant accomplishment for Sierra Madre.
Thank you, Mayor. I know in 2014 when I was first running, and I'm sure for Councilmember Goss also, the McMansion phrase was the big phrase at the time, and our city residents feel very strongly about retaining our charm and our history and identity. And us as a city council work really hard to meet that need and heed that call from our residents. So with the help of the Planning Commission, they did a lot of work around this and input from the public. We adopted a strict floor area ratio or FAR requirements and reduced the percent of the lot that is allowed to be covered. And there are a lot of calculations that are involved in it, but what we're looking for is to really preserve the appearance and environment, retain open green spaces as much as possible, and limit the impervious surfaces. In addition to that, we've adopted a demolition ordinance in 2015. I think there's been a lot of feedback on that too, because it's it's an ordinance that preserves records and documents potential historic resources for any structure that is 75 years age or older. And we may have to revisit that, but in the meantime, it really has contributed to our community preservation.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. One goal that we didn't quite get done was resolution of the library, but we laid the path by doing the surveys there and creating plans. So leave it to the next council to see that through to completion, whether a new library gets built or the one we have gets rehabilitated. And we've also laid the groundwork for development of the monastery site. And I know that this is a very controversial topic in Sierra Madre, but basically the bottom line is that that property is going to be developed. And so with the negotiation that took place and the creation of the MOU that controls how the process will be played out, gives Sierra Madre the best possible opportunity to ensure that that property gets developed in the least impactful way to the neighbors and also for the greatest benefit of Sierra Madre as a whole. So again, I know it's controversial, but this is a case where council members, you just sometimes there's a lot of people chirping in your ear to do this or that. But when you analyze all the data in front of you, you make the right decision. And this council has done that continuously since I've been on the council. And we hope that continues into the future. So let's move on to the next slide here. And just in closing, I think with this presentation, just to reemphasize a couple of things. I think we've had a team that works really well together. We've had competent management, and we've had people that have acted with integrity and have always come to the meetings very well prepared and thorough in our analysis. We've supported each other, we've argued with each other, we've discussed, we've convinced each other of different points of view. And I want to just leave that legacy to the future. But before that, I don't have too much to say other than it's just been a real pleasure to serve. And I just want to point out, of all the accomplishments that we've listed here, we intentionally did not put the most significant one on here. But I just want to thank our city manager. This council was the one that hired him. And he has really made a difference in our financials and just everything we do. I mean, he's just been great to work with. He doesn't push the council members. He encourages and hears us out and bounces ideas off. And he, we talk about accomplishment and competence. He is absolutely the picture of competence in my mind. It's just incredible what he's been able to do. And I just know that the new council coming in, this is going to be your treat to work with somebody like Gabe England, because he is absolutely remarkable. So with that, I just want to say that it's just been a pleasure to serve Sierra Madre. And I thank you all, the citizens of Sierra Madre, for placing your trust in me. And I do feel that I've met my objectives, because they were pretty low to start with. I wanted to be right more than I was wrong. And I wanted to act with integrity and not be political and just do the right thing. And I believe I've done that. And with that, I just want to turn it over to my colleague, John Harabedian, who's been an incredible leader. And I've learned a lot from him and just followed his example to try to be prepared. And it's hard to keep up with him because he's just an incredibly bright, enthusiastic guy and has a really bright future ahead of him. So with that, Councilmember Harabedian, I want to turn it off to you and thank you for all you've done for Sierra Madre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just want to say my thank yous as well. It has been, like the mayor, it's been an honor and a privilege of a lifetime. These past 8.5 years have really flown by, and it's hard to imagine that it's over. I mean, this city, I was born and raised here, as everyone knows, I think by now, and for this city to kind of put their trust in a 30-year-old kid at that point to be on the city council and to serve as mayor twice was a real honor then, but it's even a more honor and a privilege now. And I obviously have to thank my family, Young G, who is, you know, my partner in crime, my love, my wife, my rock. You know, I think the best job in the world is being a city council member, especially here in Sierra Madre. The worst job is probably being the spouse of one, because you're constantly putting up with us being torn in various different directions, missing dinners, not being there to do the household duties when you're supposed to. And so I'm very lucky to have your support and the support of all of my family. I'd like to thank all my friends for all their support. I'd like to thank the staff, as each of you know, and I don't say it often enough, you guys are all incredible, and you made working here just so rewarding. We have such great people that work for this city that being a council member is really easy. You stay out of the way, you let staff do their work, and you put your trust in them, and they're not going to disappoint you. And the mayor mentioned it, but the single best decision I ever was a part of was hiring Gabe England, our city manager. I think that Gabe is someone that at some point in my life I'll be working for. I think I was probably working for him anyway as a council member, let's be honest. But I just think that Gabe, as the mayor said, he is just the definition of competence, but also someone that you can, again, trust to do the right thing all the time and get things done. You tell Gabe this is what you want to do, and he gets it done. And I think that the path of the city is going to be for years, and I think decades, on the right one because of him. The best part of my job is my colleagues. You know, the three of you here today, and Denise, and our predecessors who I served with before. The best part is serving with you guys and just learning from you. And I think that, you know, as the mayor said, we showed up twice a month, and everyone was prepared. I always had trust that we were all going to do the right thing, and we weren't going to be swayed by some outside influence or some special interests, or our process of deciding what is best for our city was never going to be corrupted by anything close to politics. And I think it's a rare thing in city council or any legislative process where you can say that. We have a city and a city council here, especially the last 6 years to 8 years, that was so pure that I really felt a privilege to be a part of it. And, you know, it's an honor to call you all colleagues, but also friends. I mean, I can say wholeheartedly that you guys will be lifelong friends, and the city's lucky to have every single one of you. And, you know, I'll start with Rochelle. You know, Mayor Pro Tem, you are, I think, the definition of what a council member should be on a day-to-day level, and your ability to kind of connect with people on a retail level is remarkable. I'm always so blown away by your energy, and there's no one who works harder than you to engage in community and to be present at every event and to know what's going on and really have a pulse on the city. And really, if I needed to know a lot of times what was going on, I would look to you and ask, you know, what was going on, you know, here or there, and you would have a good answer. And I think your energy really is unparalleled, and continue to ingratiate yourself with the community and the people, and do the great work that you always do. And thanks for everything. And Gene, you know, when you speak, people listen. I think that you're a man that is not, you don't feel compelled to say a whole lot unless it's meaningful. And I think that's very rare. And I think it's actually one of the strongest suits that you have, which is, you know when to be quiet, you know when to ask a good question, you know when to speak. And I think that when you speak, everyone really pays attention. And I think your instincts and your moral compass are just always spot on when it comes to these issues that we're dealing with. I would say that I will miss our chats about city government and all of our private conversations about the city, but I know those conversations are going to continue. So I'm going to continue to look forward to them. And you're a great friend, you're a mentor, and I'll always cherish your advice. So thank you for everything. Mr. Mayor, I've said it, and I've always said it, and I wholeheartedly believe that, you know, you are the greatest and best council member that this city's ever seen. You know, I think I joke and I say, if you had to create the perfect council member and the perfect city leader in a test lab, you would come extremely close. If not, you'd get to you. And I use the word leader purposely because you've always stood up for what you believe is right, and you've always done what was right. You've never shied away from that and what you believe is right, even if you knew it was going to be difficult or if it was going to cause some personal pain for you, because you always put the city in front of your personal interests. And I don't think you see that very often. And I think we would all look to you as a real moral compass and a beacon, you know, on issues. And if there was ever, you know, an issue where I was on the other side of it from you, I would always have to kind of silently and without you knowing, rethink my position, because you never want to be on the opposite side of John Capocha, because you're probably going to lose. And I think, you know, I think we all can say there isn't an ounce of politics in you, which is so rare. And I think which makes you so great at this position. And again, I consider you a mentor and a great friend. And I look forward to continuing to learn from you in life. And so thank you for everything that you did. And just briefly, I'll conclude by saying to the future council members, you know, thank you for running. I know John and it made both of our decisions not to run that much easier because of the talent that you guys are bringing to this council. I think, you know, to give you some basic advice, you know, very quickly, approach this job as a neighbor. I think your job is really to help and represent the silent super majority of residents that you'll never hear from, that will never come to a council meeting, that will probably never tell you what they really think. And I think it's sometimes easy to be swayed by the loudest voices in the room or the one that's shouting. But do your best to always think about the voices you'll never hear. They're busy at home cooking dinner, or they're at work still, or they're taking care of their families, or they're just too busy to know what's going on. I think some of my proudest moments on the council, I'd have to say, are the decisions I made, which immediately drew harsh criticism from a few angry people through email or phone calls, or just getting, you know, frankly, personally, you know, telling me right away that what I did was so terrible. And I'm really proud of those moments because I know what we did was right, but it wasn't making everyone happy. And your job isn't to make everyone happy. So remember that. I remember when making decisions about the city, and to the extent that any of our decisions are affecting the livelihoods of our employees, that there are lives at stake. The ability of our employees to support themselves and their families, and I think COVID has heightened that more than ever before, to pay their rent, send their kids to school, provide healthcare. That has to be balanced with balancing the budget and with being fiscally conservative and making sure that we have growing reserves. We have to protect each other. And when I say each other, it's really the city family. Lastly, this council it's pure from corruption, it's pure from special interests. Continue to do that. Continue to make decisions based on what's best for us and not what's best for some outside third party. And I have no doubt that you guys will. This is kind of funny, but start thinking about re-election now. I think the reason why we were all so successful here the past 6 years, 8 years, was you had people stepping up and running for re-election. And the sooner you start putting in your mind that you're willing to do 8 years, the better for all of us. Because I think after 4 years, you finally realize what you don't know. And then those last 4 years, I'll tell you, they go by so damn quickly. And you start having regrets of what you didn't do. But please start thinking about re-election. Call John Capocha for advice and enjoy it. It goes by quickly. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you for your kind words, Councilmember Harabedian. So with that, let's get on to get through the couple of things we've got to do here so we can do the fun part and seat the new council. So next up on the calendar is consent calendar. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item A, consideration of resolution 20-74 approving certain demands. Item B, consideration of resolution 20-77 approving certain demands. Item C, second reading by title only of ordinance 1432, amending section 17.08.020, words, terms, phrases defined, section 17.20.020, definitions, and chapter 17.68, parking of Title 17 zoning of the Sierra Madre Municipal Code. Item D, consideration of resolution 20-75, amending the administrative design review permit appeal fee and appeal request form. Item E, consideration of adoption of resolution 20-76, terminating the local emergency due to the Bobcat wildfire. And concluding with F, consideration of adoption of resolution 20-73, setting the date, time, and place for regular city council meetings for the duration of the emergency declaration. And that concludes the consent items.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. Are there any questions on any items on the consent calendar? No questions? Okay, well, with that, we'll open it up for public comment. Any items? Anybody wish to comment on the consent calendar? Okay, we're gonna-
Mr. Mayor, bear with me while I'll check the queue for any callers for public comment. Mr. Mayor, it does not appear you have any public comment for items on the consent calendar.
Okay, we'll close public comment and any comments or discussion on the consent calendar? If not, can somebody make a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, can you call for the vote, please?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I had it on mute, sorry. Mayor John Caposha,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi.
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember John Harabedian.
Yes.
The motion to approve consent items 1A through 1F as presented was passed by unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now to the good part. Consideration of resolution 20-79. Okay, the general municipal election. Who's going to take that?
That would be me, Mayor. It's my honor to do that report for the council today, for the outgoing and the incoming council. As you all know, the city held a general municipal election on November 3rd. What isn't in my report and is actually I think is pretty interesting, is that the Los Angeles County voter turnout for that election was 75.98% of the registered voters. Sierra Madre had 88.2% of registered voters voting in this election last month. So it was very impressive. And at that election, we asked the voters to vote for 2 council members to serve in the 4-year seats, 1 council member to serve in the 2-year seat that was vacated by Councilmember Del Mar. And we also asked them to vote for a city treasurer and ballot measure AC. The results of the election are as follows. In the 4-year seat, there were 5 candidates who ran for council: Andy Ben Cosme, Callie Creeps, Robert Parkhurst, Kurt Richter, and Josephina Riley. Those names are in alphabetical order. The 2 candidates who garnered the most votes were Kelly Creeps and Robert Parkhurst. For the 2-year seat that was vacated by Denise Del Mar, the candidates were 3, and those 3 were Edward Garcia, David Loera, and Tracy Verhoeven. Of those 3, the candidate that earned the most votes was Edward Garcia. For city treasurer, the incumbent, Michael Amerio, ran unopposed. He garnered 100% of the votes, 4,957 votes. And Measure AC, a ballot measure introduced by the city of Sierra Madre, shall the office of the city clerk be appointive. The number of votes in favor of this ballot measure were 3,931 and opposed were 2,121, so the ballot measure passed. California Elections Code requires that the City Council adopt a resolution reciting the facts of the election upon completion of the canvass and before installing the new officers. The City of Sierra Madre received the official canvass from Los Angeles County on December 2nd, and those results have been recited and are attached to the agenda report. Staff is recommending approval of Resolution 20-79, a resolution of the City Council reciting the facts of the general municipal election held on November 3rd and declaring the results and such matters as provided by law. Staff is also recommending consideration or approval of Ordinance 1436. 1436 is an ordinance of the voters that approves ballot measure AC. That measure is a ordinance of the voters and will go into effect immediately. It wouldn't go into effect in 30 days as a regular ordinance would. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Aguilar. Any questions? I think it's very impressive that we had 88% plus voter turnout.
I do too.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so with that, there's no questions, so we'll open it up for public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I'll allow the public a couple of seconds here, and then I will let you know if we have any callers.
Okay, I'm going to step away and get a little water here. I'll be right back. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you do not have any callers for public comment on this item.
Okay, great. So I don't think there's really much to discuss here. So do we have a motion?
Move to approve Resolution 20-79 and ordinance number 1436.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, can you call for the vote?
Mayor John Capocia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rashard Arizmendi.
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember John Harabedian.
Yes.
The motion to adopt resolution number 20-79 as presented and ordinance number 1436 as presented was passed by unanimous vote.
Okay, great. Congratulations, incoming council members and city treasurer. So we have to now, we have another ordinance. Do we do that now, or should the new council do that?
Mayor, the current council should take this ordinance.
Okay. All right, well, we'll open it up. Who's going to present the staff report on that?
I'll be presenting the staff report, Mayor.
Okay.
So now that the residents have voted to make the office of city clerk an appointed position, the power to appoint the city clerk under state law rests with the city council. In a prior meeting, the city council indicated its desire to vest its authority to appoint the city clerk in the city manager. This ordinance accomplishes that goal. So as you know, we've canceled the December meeting. So the second reading, if the council votes to approve this ordinance today, the second reading would be in January, and the ordinance would take effect 30 days thereafter, so in February. As you also know, City Clerk Spears' term ends today. So in the interim, we would have Deputy City Clerk Aguilar serving as the interim city clerk. And then when the city manager has the authority to appoint the city clerk in February, he can make a decision regarding that appointment.
Okay,
I'm happy to take any questions.
all right. No, I don't have any. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll open that up to public comment again also.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just bear with me while I check for any callers. It does not appear you have any callers for public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. We'll close public comment and bring it back to the council. If there is nobody that cares to discuss the issue, can go ahead and make a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Second?
Okay, Madam City Clerk, if you can call for the vote, please.
Mayor John Caposcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi.
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember John Harabedian.
Yes.
The motion to introduce with first reading by title only of ordinance 1437 vesting the authority to appoint the city clerk in the city manager was passed by unanimous vote.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Next, we have recognition of service.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Luther Tsinaglu, representing the Chamber of Commerce here in town. And I want to start by thanking all the council members for the support of our businesses. All your efforts have been greatly appreciated. A lot of us are going through the difficulties of COVID, and representing a lot of our members, we are grateful for all the efforts. I want to start with thanking our city clerk, Ms. Sue Spears, and the chamber believes in supporting our own. So we want to thank you I want to express a gratitude for your service to our town. And we have ordered a nice flower arrangement from our very own Leonora Moss that will be delivered to your home. Again, we want to thank you for your service. And also, Mr. Mayor and John Harabedian, Councilmember John Harabedian, a good friend, I want to thank both of you for your endless hours. I know it's not easy to sacrifice all these hours and days and 8.5 years on the council. The rest of us in town are benefiting from your service and want to thank you. You guys both have made this place a much better place. On behalf of the chamber, we thought a little hard of what we can provide for you to thank you for your service. And we do have something, as Ms. Aguilar is holding up, as you can see it.
Yes.
Because you've seen so many different cases in the last 8.5 years, we wanted this to be a reminder of all the nuts and cracks and all the nuts you've seen. And so it's a nutcracker bowl that we have
Yes.
from our very own business, Savor the Flavor, as a small token to say thank you. We appreciate all your help. We appreciate all your efforts. We appreciate all your time and all your sacrifices. So on behalf of the chamber, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. That's really a cool, creative gift. Thank you.
Hope you
Agreed.
enjoy.
Thank you, Luther.
And thank you for me as well. I really do appreciate it.
Mayor, I believe our next presentation will be a previously recorded message from Senator Anthony Portantino's office. The message is directed at Mayor Capocha, Councilmember Parabedian, City Clerk Spears, and the incoming council members-elect, Ed Garcia, Kelly Krebs, and Robert Parkhurst. And I believe IT is working on getting that message loaded so that we'll be able to view it in just a moment.
Hi, I'm State Senator Anthony Portantino. I'm proud to represent the great city of Sierra Madre, and I'd like to say thank you to Mayor John Capote, to the city as they leave the city council. Their legacy has been long and strong, and Sierra Madre is a better place for their service. I'd also like to say thank you to Sue, our last elected city clerk, and to Sergeant Delacour, who after 25 years is retiring. You all collectively make Sierra Madre a better place, have made Sierra Madre a better place. I'm proud to represent the community. It was great to see the marquee get rededicated at the theater this year to show everybody that this is a thriving place, a great, wonderful community to raise a family. And certainly the council members have contributed to the prosperity and the community spirit and have done fantastic jobs for all of us. And so thank you for your service. Thank you for being a wonderful part of the 25th State Senate District, and God bless and be safe over the holidays.
Okay, thank you, Senator Portantino. You've been a great friend of Sierra Madre, and I really love how you've always made yourself available to us. And we always know that our voice is heard as long as you're our state senator. So thank you very much.
Mayor, the senator's office did send certificates, proclamations for each, for you and for Council Member Harabedian and for City Clerk Spears.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're on mute.
And I think our IT department is queuing up our next presentation from Supervisor Barger's office. And I think that'll just take a moment to prepare. Is the supervisor still on?
Yeah, I'm on. I'm sorry. I thought you said a
Okay.
video, and so I was saying I didn't send a video.
Okay, no,
You got me live.
thank you.
Yeah. First of all, I just have to say to John Capocha, I mean, you have been such an incredible partner. Even when I was chief of staff to Mike Antonovich, you know, I would come up with Mike to the meetings in Sierra Madre, and the dedication that you have for such an incredible community is fantastic, and it's been an honor to serve with you. And John Herbedian, same, you know, I know the passion you have growing up in Sierra Madre, the love you have for the community to keep it the charm that it has right now. You both have been incredible public servants, and the work that you do and have done up in Sierra Madre shows in everything you do. So I want to thank you for your dedication to the residents up there. And I look forward to what the next chapter brings and we can work together. And I've sent proclamations for both of you. And then Sue, you're going to be having one that's going to be coming to you, that's going to be mailed out or delivered to City Hall. But I want to thank you as well for your dedication to the residents of Sierra Madre. So I wish you all good luck and Godspeed.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Barger. And you've been a great friend of Sierra Madre, and you've been a really good voice of reason on the board there. I just appreciate your stance against some of the stormwater stuff that's been going on, and also in support of our restaurants. We really appreciate the stand you've taken on that. Councilmember Harabedian, I don't know if you've got any comments too, but
agreed. Yeah, ditto to everything that the mayor just said. Supervisor, thank you so much for the kind words and everything you do, and for continuing the great work for the region. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, we did also receive from Assemblymember Holden's office some letters. The letters are addressed individually. Mayor Capocha, this is a letter to you from Councilmember Holden, thanking you for your service. We have a letter also to Councilmember Harabedian, thanking you for your service, and a letter also to City Clerk Spears, thanking her for her years of service. And so those will also be provided to you.
okay, thank you.
And then I don't ever get to do this, so this is my honor. The city of Sierra Madre is very happy and proud of their city tiles. And so each of you will receive your own very own city tile, Mayor Capocha and Councilmember Harabedian and City Clerk Spears. You each have your very own city tile.
Okay, that's great. The highly coveted city tile.
They
Very
are.
much.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Laura.
Mayor, I don't know if anyone else is in the lineup, but if I may just share a few remarks.
Sure.
So firstly to City Clerk Spears, it really has been a pleasure. I don't know if I should confess that I trust your minutes so much. I sometimes just do a quick glance over them. But you know, you are just commended for your accuracy, your professionalism, and your thoroughness in the work that you do. So thank you for your service. And to now, you know, I think you're both mayors. You will, what's that, when I hear once a mayor, always a mayor, you will now forever be Mayor Capocha and Mayor Harabedian. Truly, it has been such an honor and a pleasure to serve with both of you. I learned so much. And I think about our council member elects as they're sitting here, and I remember that day sitting at the dais, just, I think a deer in the headlights, just not sure what to expect. But both of you have been such great mentors. You've been great role models. And I've learned so much working with both of you, and I do want to thank you for that. And your commitment to this city, to our residents is just unparalleled. So thank you so much. Mayor Harabedian, you know, your insights when you make comments throughout our discussion items, it does make me pause and think. And I do appreciate what you've been able to bring to our discussions, and having us think sometimes in a different way that maybe we didn't consider. And you've just asked the tough questions when they needed to be asked, and I thank you for that. Mayor Capocha, your candidness, I just so much appreciate it, and your no nonsense approach. And especially now serving with you as Mayor Pro Tem, I've just really learned a lot, especially with our one-on-ones with the city manager, and hearing your way of approaching things in a very pragmatic way that really, I think Mayor Harabedian said it best, is just non-politics. It's really been about what is best for the city and what's best for the residents. So to both of you, I thank you so much. I have your cell phone numbers, do not change them. I'm sure I'll be reaching out. I appreciate, again, your support in these last 6.5 years, and I continue to look forward to the support of both of you in our work as we work together with our new council in our city. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words.
Mr.
Thank you
Mayor,
very
could I
much.
say a couple words?
Great.
Yes, sure.
First, yeah, not much left to be said, except that I definitely, my eyes just lit up when Sue Spears turned in her first set of minutes. There were no errors. I think we might have caught one error in the whole time she was in her tenure, and that was probably our fault. So Sue, congratulations on your service to our city. You're just a class act. That's all I can say. And your family is a class act in this city as well. John Capocia, what else can I say? Everything that I've heard here tonight is absolutely true. I've really spent a lot of time learning from you guys. The interactions we had on the council and the various committees we served on were just so educational. I'm a political scientist, but I learned that I knew next to nothing about government. I thought I did, but boy, I learned a lot from you guys just doing. And we went through some hard times together. We went through some really tough times together. We took some heat on some things. Particularly, I think of that whole police situation where it was nip and tuck whether we were going to have a police department or not. And I'm not exaggerating that. And their feelings are very high. And I think we came together during those crises and kind of watched each other's back, as it were. And I appreciate that from you guys, from of course, from my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Arizmendi as well. But I just kind of felt like I wasn't alone when we had to make tough decisions. So I appreciate that that personal courtesy on your part, John, meant a lot to me. And of course, you're a wise guy. You're really a really sagacious individual. You really have a lot of wisdom, and there's no, what is wisdom worth? You know, we strive to be wise as we live our lives, and you have it. Harabedian, you know, what can I say? I'm going to miss you both. I'm going to miss you a lot. But I remember when you were that young, 31-year-old coming onto the council for the first time, and I had got to know you during the campaign, so I had kind of high hopes, high expectations, but I didn't realize how you could take over a meeting with your intellect, your capacity to analyze things. This was at the very earliest stages. You were just fully, I think, I know that Capocia had the same feeling about you early on. You were just really an amazing individual, and that was in open sessions as well as closed sessions. It was like, boy, you know, I'm glad he's sitting in the room. That's an angle I never would have thought of. So personally, I also appreciate the personal support you gave me and the relationship we built as friends. And I just want you to know that it's meant a lot to me. And the ideas that I have about government have changed by working with you guys. They really have. And I guess I have the feeling that if government is ever going to work, it's going to work based on the kind of model that we saw here for the last 6.5 years, because we really have achieved a lot. And the levels of government above us, let's face it, haven't been doing so well. So I really do believe that you guys can walk off the council with your heads held high, having achieved something that could be and should be a model for governance across this country. Good luck, guys. Take care.
Well,
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you.
Certainly going to miss you guys too.
Absolutely.
Okay, are we ready to install our new council members?
So,
Mr. Mayor, as my last official duty as city clerk, it is my honor and privilege to administer the oath of office to our newly elected officials. I am going to do this in alphabetical order, and for each council member elect individually in alphabetical. So the first council member elect is Edward Garcia. So if Mr. Garcia could raise his hand. And you repeat after me, please. I, Edward Garcia,
I, Edward Garcia,
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, you are now officially a Sierra Madre council member.
Thank you.
Our next oath of office will be for council member-elect Kelly Krebs. Ms. Krebs, if you could raise your hand, please. And your microphone's on mute, so you'll have to unmute it. Thank you. Repeat after me, please. I, Kelly Krebs,
I, Kelly Krebs,
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely.
that I
without-
take, sorry,
Go ahead, sorry.
that I take this obligation freely
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, you are also an official Sierra Madre council member.
Thank you.
Our next person is council member elect is Robert Parkhurst. If you could raise your hand, please, Mr. Parkhurst. Repeat after me. I, Robert Parkhurst,
I, Robert Parkhurst,
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, you are now an official Sierra Madre council member. And our city treasurer-elect, Mr. Amario, if you could raise your hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Mike Amario. Oops. Oh,
I, Mike Amario,
thank you. Do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend
do solemnly affirm I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
I will bear full faith of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well discharge the duties that I am about to enter.
Congratulations, you are re-elected Sierra Madre City Treasurer. Thank you. And in conclusion, Mr. Mayor and council members, I would like to thank you for the confidence that you've bestowed upon me to select me as city clerk, and it has been my honor and pleasure to serve you and our city and our community. And thank you so much.
Okay,
That
thank you.
concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, and it was certainly a pleasure working with you. And I'm going to miss all of you. And with that, I'm going to symbolically get out of my seat by stopping my video and let the new council member go on with their business. So thank you, everybody.
Mayor Capocha, Mayor Harabedian, again, thank you so much. And I appreciate the symbolic gesture. I know this is very different for us during this virtual time, but again, thank you to everyone here that's been able to support us virtually and through this process. So next we have our city council selection of mayor and mayor pro tem, and I believe it's Assistant City Clerk who will introduce this item. If not, that's okay. Yes.
Yes, okay. So the city council selects a mayor and mayor pro tem to serve for a rotating period. This year it will be, or for this period, it will be between December 8th today, 2020, through December 14th, 2021. These appointments directly impact the city's liaison appointments to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District. As the city's primary voting delegate for this agency is the mayor, and the mayor pro tem is the alternate. And the mayor and mayor pro tem positions are largely ceremonial, and they are selected every year by the council member as a whole. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Assistant City Clerk Aguilar. So welcome to our new city council, and this is our first action item as a December 2020 council.
I move that the current Mayor Pro Tem, Rachel Arizmendi, be appointed to mayor, and that current City Council member Jean Goss be appointed to Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second.
Okay. And I'm not sure if we're supposed to have a discussion item on this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna look at Attorney Gregosian if we were supposed to have a discussion item on this.
We should take, this is a discussion item, so we can take public comment and then we can do the vote.
Great. Okay, so we'll take a moment to see if there's any public comment on this item.
Please allow me one moment while I allow the public to enter the queue. It does not appear you have any callers for public comment on this item.
Great, thank you so much. So I'll bring this back for discussion. So seeing none there, we have a first and a second, and I'm gonna ask City Clerk Spears for one more action item, if you could take roll call, please.
Thank you. It'd be my honor and pleasure. Mayor Pro Tem Rochelle Arizmendi,
Aye.
Councilmember Edward Garcia,
Aye.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly Krebs,
Aye.
and Councilmember Robert Parkhurst.
Aye.
The motion to appoint Rochelle Arizmendi as mayor and Jean Goss as mayor pro tem for the term beginning April 24th, oops, wrong date, sorry, for the beginning December 8th until December 14th, 2021 was passed unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
Thank you for that. And I do want to invite our county supervisor, Catherine Barger. Thank you so much for enduring this entire meeting. And hopefully you learned a lot more than you've ever wanted to about the city of Sierra Madre and all of our accomplishments. But thank you for staying as part of this meeting and for agreeing to administer the oath of office. I've just over the years, thank you so much for your support for our city and what you've been able to do for our region. I think Mayor Popocha shared a lot of remarks that I think many of us are that we share the same sentiments. And, you know, I know you are not always, you're sometimes the lone wolf out there making those, taking those votes. And I know I've reached out to you many times, thanking you for really being able to argue and being able to make a stance on some of the issues that I know are very tough, but really have been supportive for our region. So thank you.
Thank you. And I also want to welcome the new council members. I look forward to working with you all. And obviously the county and the city have a strong relationship. We're taking over one of your roads, I guess, to fix, which I think is
right.
Really tells you just how close a relationship we have. But all kidding aside, you know, we are here to serve you, and I'm proud of the relationship that this county does have with such an incredible city like Sierra Madre. And it is my honor to swear in both the vice mayor and the mayor tonight. And we're going to start with Jean Goss.
Okay. Supervisor Barger, it is my honor that you should be here and doing this for me. I'm just very honored and thrilled that you're here. Thank you very much.
Well, it's a little known secret, but I like to hike up in Sierra Madre. So all those beautiful homes that you were pointing out are homes that I walk by and say, one day I want to own one of those. So keep the preservation going there.
Good deal.
Yep. All right. So we'll start with you with the oath of office, Jean. Will you please repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Jean Goss,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, Rochelle, it is my honor to swear you in. And I have to say, you are a dear friend. You are don't let the size fool you. You are a mighty, mighty woman who really does affect change. And I'm just so proud of all that you have done and you're going to do in the future. So with that, I'm going to swear you in. Will you please repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Rochelle Arizmendi,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Rachel, you are going to be an awesome mayor, and I look forward to working with you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
And with that, we are at the end of our meeting, but I do want to formally welcome each and every one of our new council members, no longer council member elects. So welcome aboard, Council Member Edgar Garcia, Council Member Kelly Krebs, and Council Member Robert Parkhurst. You have big shoes to fill, as you've heard. But I am very confident in your ability, your competency, your commitment, and your energy towards this work. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I know that at the end of the day, it really is about what we are going to do for our city and about what we want to do for our residents. So thank you so much. And I just want to also ask Gene Goss, our new mayor pro tem, if he has any words that he wants to share too.
Just congratulations to the three of you. You ran great campaigns, very fine people. I'm just personally very honored to be able to work with all of you, and I have high hopes for this city council.
And I would be remiss if I do not also congratulate our treasurer, Michael Mario, the highest vote getter probably in the history of Sierra Madre. Thank you so much for your ongoing commitment to this work, and I'm glad you were able to join us here today. And again, thank you for your service. With that, I don't believe we have any cake. Maybe we'll have some cookies delivered to our front door. But I look forward to the upcoming year and meeting with all of you in January. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Here first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Wait a second. Okay, great. Thank you so much. We're gonna, I'm gonna assume that's gonna be unanimous. All in favor for adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great night.